want to run E85 on your boosted car? Well, I have a boosted car and I run E85, so let's talk about it. So there's a lot of misconceptions and a lot of questions that people have about E85. I've been running E85 on my car for about a year, and I can tell you all the myths and all what's true and all the pros and cons of E85. So I'll go ahead and not wasting time and dive into it. By the way, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton. And follow me on Instagram if you have any questions, but let's go ahead and dive into it. I'll tell you the cons first. First, it's gonna burn a little faster. That could just because the tune, and you're also getting a bunch of miles per gallon, so you're gonna be flooring it a lot in your car. But definitely, I've noticed gas mileage is a lot less. Definitely getting a lot less gas mileage, but that is because I'm stepping on the car most of the time, so that does make sense. One of the good things is, at least here in Nevada, it's actually cheaper than regular unleaded gas. So any money you'd be spending for extra gas, you're just saving on the gas being cheaper. E85 is very cheap here. I believe regular gas right now, at this moment of this video, is like $4.60 and E85 was like $4.40. So it's like 20 cents cheaper, so save money that way. So that's also a good option. And that's also why I didn't want to do racing octane, because it was like $9, $10 a gallon. I really didn't want to do that. That was just too much. That was going to kill me if I did that. So another one of the cons I want to talk about is just availability. Now, here in Vegas, there's actually a lot of E85 stations. So I don't have too much of an issue with that. However, if you're traveling or doing anything like that, E85 isn't always readily available everywhere, and you don't want to be stranded. So unless you're running a full flex fuel system where you can run any type of gas you want and your computer will notice immediately, if you're running strictly E85 on your tune, then you might have some issues if you try to travel across country or anything like that. So just keep that in mind. Now, a lot of people say it'll eat your fuel lines. I haven't experienced that. Now, you could upgrade your fuel lines, which you probably should anyway if you're doing a boosted car, because there'll be no chance of leaks, and just your fuel lines are probably old anyway. You probably should just replace them and do stainless steel braided, and they'll never leak. You'll never have issues ever again with the car. So that's just a peace of mind. But I have stock fuel lines in mine and everything is good. So it could just depend on the car. Again, my fuel lines, they're fine. Supposedly the alcohol and ethanol in it can eat up the fuel lines. But some people, I guess, maybe experience that, but I believe those fuel lines are probably just really old and they're probably going to go anyway. So that's about it for cons. There really isn't that much downside. And let's talk about the pros. This is the #1 reason why I chose E85. It is a very safer fuel to burn in your engine. So if you're running boosted, especially if you're on like a higher compression engine, I believe mine's like a 10-5-1 or something like that. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but relatively higher compression. You don't want the combustion chamber to be burning too hot, or that's where you're gonna have issues, right? The E85 burns cooler, so this means it actually is more efficient power-wise, and it is safer, right? So if you don't want to blow your engine up, E85 is actually a fantastic option, and I really do recommend it. That's probably my favorite pro of E85, is that it just burns cooler in the engine. It's cooler burning fuel. It's safer to run. I'm running low boost on mine. I have 170,000 miles on this engine. This is a boosted G35. No issues with the engine. I am having some weird issues with the car fuel cutting, but that's not related to the E85. That's some other issue. I already kind of talked about the other pro, but yeah, it's just cheaper gas. If you're driving the car all the time, you don't want to be spending $9, $10 for like 100 octane, which 100 octane is safer for like kind of the same reason E85 is safer. It burns a lot cooler. However, it's too expensive, and unless you're rolling like that and you're driving GTRs, Audi R8s and stuff, it's usually going to be very costly for you. And so I wouldn't completely recommend that unless you are not driving the car very often. Maybe you're doing a race build and you only drive on the track, maybe it's worth it for you. But if you're driving on the street, I don't think 100 octane really makes much sense. Now, one other con is that E85 does mix with your oil after a while, because it's a little thinner, I believe. So you need to change your oil a little often, otherwise the E85 will start getting in your oil. And it has a lot of humidity in it, and so if it gets in your oil, it's going to actually start making your oil look milky, and you're going to think you have a blown head gasket when it's actually just the E85 getting it with your oil. Make sure, just be careful. Change your oil more often when you have E85. That's very important. I do believe that's a shorter shelf life, but other than that, that's pretty much it for pros and cons. That's pretty much it. Everything else is good. If you decide to go flex fuel, it's a little more expensive, and you're going to have to do a little more work with installing the flex fuel sensor and everything, and not every tuning kit supports that. Like what I use to tune my car doesn't support flex fuel, so that wasn't an option for me. I did consider it because then you can just put whatever fuel in it, 100 octane or whatever, but my car doesn't support that, so I just have an E85 tune, and then I do have a backup tune for regular 91 octane if I ever got in a situation where there's no E85 and I was gonna run out of gas. So yeah, that's just my experience with it. Have no issues with E85. But yeah, I think that's pretty much gonna do it. Yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you guys again for watching. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like and subscribe. But other than that, thank you guys again for watching. I'll see you guys next time.